Hello everyone, many thanks for joining us. You are watching Talk to OBN show, our weekly program. This is your favorite show actually. You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. My guest today is Nabiyu Soul Mikael, head of Tigray Prosperity Party. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Good. As it is all known, the Tigray, TPLF, and that of the federal government locked horn, and they are still in war. Today is the final and the third phase of the operation has resumed. What do you say about the holistic nature of this operation from the day one up until today?
Well, every news has its own story. This growing issue is having a very long story. Maybe if we look at the fundamental issues, we come into this stage because of a tyrant group needs to annihilate the nation and annihilate the nation building process. So the federal government should protect the peace of the nation, the security of the nation, and also should continue the topics of development of the country. So we entered into this situation because the TPLF, which is a destructive junta, needs to come back to power and have its monopoly. And this cannot happen because people of Ethiopia doesn't need so. So we enter into this kind of unnecessary conflict, and the federal government is trying to enforce rule of law, and we are achieving lots of successes. And as you have said, the operation is in its final stage. Now we have encircled the capital of the region, Maqala, and the operation is supposed to end in the coming 1 or 2 days. And the immediate cause to this conflict is because the TPLF treasonably attacked our northern command, and due to this we have to enter into the law enforcement action. So TPLF's action, or this destructive junta's action, is quite treasonable, and we can even call it as an avalanche of treason, because attacking a nation's military base is a serious offensive. And because this jeopardizes people's peace, safety, and also the sovereignty of the nation as well. So therefore it is a serious treasonous action that the TPLF made, and the federal government together with the defense force is implementing the rule of law, and we are reaping lots of successful results. And we are at the brink of the completion of the operation.
Okay, as you have said, it's a law enforcement operation, isn't it? But different international media are reporting that it's a kind of civil war between a certain group. How do you put that?
Well, what is going on is not a civil war, because to call it a civil war, it must fulfill certain criteria for it. But this one is very clear because the TPLF attacked our military base across the region, the Tigray region. And what we are doing is we are implementing the enforcement of rule of law. So it's quite clear. We don't have to doubt it as a civil war, or we even cannot take it as war, because this is a skirmish. It is a conflict between military forces, the federal military force and that of the regional one. So therefore, it's not a civil war, rather it's a conflict, and the conflict happened because of a clear reason, because the TPLF or that destructive junta attacked our military base, and the federal government is now on a law enforcement operation.
Okay. Most of Tigray's hamlet, villages, towns, and other provinces have been liberated by the National Defense Force, right? Mm-hmm. Only Mekelle, the capital of the region, is under siege now. Mm-hmm. What will be the scene which is going to be happen there? Would they give hand, or would they surrender their hand to the National Defense Force, or another casualty might happen there? What is your, insight, your opinion there?
As you have said, much of the region is taken by the federal government now. We can put it in percentage, up to 90% of the territory of the region is under the control of the federal government. Okay. So the TPLF is having its final hold, and that is the capital city of the region, Mekelle. And liberated areas are coming back to their normal situation. And the people is having its say on the situation. And also we are looking into some of the way out from the situation and continue our normal life.
The federal government has assigned an interim government which is led by Dr. Mulu Naga. And did this interim government started job or operating in liberated areas now?
Definitely. The interim government to the region is on active operation now. They have been doing lots of jobs here, preparation. They were in their preparation stage, and now they are operating on the ground. So they're, according to their plan, their first job is to pacify the area and to have the people, to gather the people and put them into discussion, to analyze the situation and also to pave a new way to the coming time. So this is what the interim government is doing. They are quite active. And we are also part of it, because as a Prosperity Party, we are also involving in this interim government, because the interim government is like a transitional government. So it has to include all parties and forces. So that way, we are going to hold power after the election. So until the election, in the meantime, we have to participate as Prosperity Party. We have to participate to pacify the area and to put life to its normal condition. So this is what is happening now. And hopefully the people of Tigray will be beneficiary of this way and situation.
Good. Let's talk about my Kadra massacre. Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has disclosed more than 600 civilians have been killed, perpetrated. Who are perpetrator and who are the victim of this atrocious act?
According to many resources, first of all, the action is very heinous. I mean, what kind of cold-blooded group could have taken this kind of action? It's quite bizarre, and we cannot say more on this. We cannot explain it because it's very strange. And maybe the purpose of this atrocity could be to aggravate the conflict and to make it look like an inter-ethnic conflict between Tigrayans and Amharas. Maybe this can be their intention. So they did this heinous atrocity, and we all condemn it. And the people is quite against this kind of atrocity, and everyone, of course, is against this atrocity. It's quite bizarre, quite strange action. Anyway, the massacre happened, which we all lamented on, and according to lots of resources, the doors of this atrocity are TPLF-affiliated users, and they were accompanied by the Tigray militia and the so-called special force, or special police of the region. So this is a very strange action, and it was ethnic because they have selected ethnic Amhara residents, and the atrocity is committed on them. So, as I have told you, the intention of this heinous action is to engage the people in the conflict. But luckily, our people knows everything about the conspiracy of the TPLF. So people refrained from such kind of action, and so that the conflict will remain as it should be. It's just between the federal government and that of the TPLF. So therefore, what happened in Maikadra is quite strange, and surely we are going to put the transgressors to justice very soon.
Great. You are head of Tigray Prosperity Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tigray Prosperity Party office.
Yeah.
As you've said, this operation will be wrapped up after a couple of days. What is your future plan in creating public advocacy, in letting know the agenda, the doctrine, and the overall insight of this Prosperity Party for Tigrayans? Because Tigrayans were, apart from other regions, they were know about this Prosperity Party due to TPLF, right?
Well, actually, the Prosperity Party is known among Tigrayans as well. Not only that, it's also supported by many Tigrayans. This is the fact that we are having. But due to the pressure coming from the TPLF, many people were afraid of joining us. So now, after we oust the TPLF and bring them to justice, we are going to propagate our ideas and our aims, political aims. And we expect many Tigrayans, the mass, to join our party and support it. So therefore, we strongly believe that we are the future political party of the region. So therefore, we are preparing ourselves to achieve this goal, and we don't have any doubt that our people will not take us, because we will bring the people a good idea, a better idea, and a better platform. So this will be accommodated by the people. So we'll be the people's future political party, and we are going to achieve it very soon. Our main hurdle was the TPLF, especially its toxic propaganda. Now, after we sideline the TPLF and bring it to justice, then we are going to freely operate in Tigray, and we are going to propagate our ideas and aims. Then our people can easily embrace us, so that we can rule the region with the consent of the people.
Okay, Tigrayans, the Tigrayan Liberation Front, this TPLF used to disgrace the new reform and especially this Prosperity Party, right? They even coin a name. It is a unitary kind of government, and it is going to amalgamate the entire nation in one entity. Do they have such moral to say so?
They don't have that moral because they were dictators. Their rule was oligarchic in every sense of it. We were not in the embrace of the EPRDF because the EPRDF was driven by very small people.
A coalition of 4 parties.
It's a coalition of 4 parties, but still...
others were satellite parties, right?
Yeah,
supportive.
That even
How
worse.
dare they supposed to be said satellite party in their own country? It's very shameful anyway.
That's a good point. Even worse, the entire government was led by very few people. And those few people came selected by their parochial backgrounds and other networking mechanisms.
Even they do have a marriage ties.
Definitely,
yes.
Definitely. So it's a perfect oligarchic rule. That's why. It's a perfect oligarchic rule. And they don't have the moral to blame the Prosperity Party because the Prosperity Party is an all-inclusive party.
It's a pan-Ethiopian.
Definitely, even a pan-African, we can say. It
Right.
has a very huge view, even in terms of Africanism. So this party will contribute a lot nationally.
So in what way would you usher the 6th national election in Tigray? Within this very few months, could you make it?
We can make it. We can make it with the help of our people. We can make it, but we have to investigate it. Is a ground
You know what I mean?
conducive?
You know what I mean? There is a kind of people who are favoring TPLF even after you ousted the TPLF. Still, those supporter of TPLF stay with the hangover of TPLF, and it's difficult to bring that reform within this few period of months and conduct an election. Is that possible, you think?
Let's see it first. Let's see it. We can guess, of course, now, but it's better to see it by then. Then we can investigate.
But
the
you do have a
situation.
determination to conduct an election.
Definitely.
Even that interim government is ushering that.
Even the interim government, the federal government, we as Prosperity Party are determined to stage the national election on time, okay? Maybe after 6 months from now. So therefore, we are determined and we are also hopeful that we are going to stage the national election on time. If there is any special case, then we will consider it.
Okay, good.
And
Another
when
question.
you say, yeah, let me finish it.
All right.
Okay. When you say there will be lots of supporters of the TPLF, I don't think so. Actually, the TPLF support comes from its repression. Now, when in the absence of its repression, we may not get the supporters. And we are going to handle the situation and bring people, embrace the people into our views. And we are so much hopeful that we are going to propagate our ideas and people will embrace us. So within a very short period of time, we can make change.
Look. What I doubt is that they have been investing by fabricating false narratives.
I got you, but we can reverse it.
You understand, right?
We can reverse that.
It's very difficult to brainwash these individuals who have been working with them, acting as a lapdog with them.
I know.
Within a very few period of months, it's going to be difficult. Anyway, you could manage it. It doesn't matter.
That's a good point.
The truth will win anyway.
That's it. The truth and our hope and our job is bigger than the doubt, okay?
Definitely.
That's the point.
Got you. So, the interim government, which is on post, and the Prosperity Party, which is headed by you, is still operating in very liberated areas, liberated counties and provinces, right?
Yeah.
In the meantime, there are people who flee to Sudan, a very huge score of people gone there. What is your plan to repatriate those civilians to their destinationhood?
Good point. The refugee case is very serious. And the federal government, every concerned body in the nation is attending it. So we need those people to be helped on the spot, and we need them to go back to their places in the shortest possible time. And we need to establish them in their places and continue doing their daily activities and livelihoods. So this is our plan and our intention. And so far we have done lots of successful tasks, and it's almost the nation's prior agenda now, because as Prosperity Party, we focus on humanity and citizenship. So therefore, we focus on these big elements. So therefore, when we have this critical situation, we acted so quickly, and we are also doing some great jobs there. And there is one trick that we need to know about this case. The TPLF flared this conflict not because they will handle it. Rather, they are just trying their final chance to...
It's a kind of a
it's
last
a
play
conspiracy.
card. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
And the conspiracy is to flare a war and to call the attention of the international community. So therefore, the international community will call upon all of us to come to the negotiating table. So this was their final chance. And to achieve this, they have to create this refugee case.
Yes, displacing
displacement,
civilians.
yeah, displacing people. And those people were seriously attacked and intentionally attacked.
Definitely.
To flee to a neighboring country, to Sudan. So therefore, it will be an agenda, an international agenda, and those donors will have it as a big agenda. So therefore, the international community will put pressure, especially on the Ethiopian government.
Good. In the same spoken, I mean, this rebel junta is whistling a whistle to the international organization to mediate them in ceasing fire, right?
Yeah.
And mitigating to de-escalate the tension. Would that be acceptable by Ethiopia?
It will not work.
It doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work.
How dare?
Actually, we are at the brink of the completion of the conflict. So this was their tactic. So it doesn't work. It cannot work. We cannot come to negotiation with such a group, because to come to a negotiation, there must be a conducive climate. Almost it's better to negotiate with the devil, because this group, the TPLF, is quite a devilish enterprise, and you cannot sit and negotiate with such kind of group.
Why you say devil? Our international audiences need to know this.
Well,
I mean, you labeled to that extent.
Yeah, because TPLF is a very odd group. It's not part of our psychological makeup, our history, everything. It's quite an alien power. So this alien power have been doing lots of atrocities across its 29 years of ruling. So therefore, every action they make puts them to be labeled as devil. So therefore, there were chances, actually. We have to consider that. The federal government was so open-minded, and it has been inviting the TPLF to the negotiating table. But the TPLF was far from it. So therefore, it lost its chances of negotiation, and finally, it flared a conflict, a very serious conflict, by attacking directly the military. So what is expected from the federal government and from the military is to enforce rule of law. That's all. That is the final action. So negotiations, chances for negotiations were there, and they were lost by the TPLF because the TPLF has no such kind of intention. So the federal government have been handling things in a very open-minded way, and that was quite enough. So now the federal government is saying enough is enough because we have to maintain rule of law. Without that, we cannot be a nation. We cannot live in peace. We cannot continue in our prosperous way. So therefore, the federal government had made lots of attempts to negotiate with the TPLF, but the TPLF has this devilish mannerism and were bragging on its own power and on its military capacity, and entered into such a conflict, and now it's paying the price of violating the rule of law.
Okay, the UN Security Council was about to usher negotiation or the ceasefire accord between the TPLF and that of the federal government, but out of nowhere they have cancelled that thing. What is the reason behind?
The agenda is dropped so quickly because it's an internal affair, and the powerful nations understood that it's just a conflict within a certain sovereign nation, and it's quite an internal affair. So they know they don't have to interfere in such an internal affair. So the agenda was raised by a certain chance, but it was quickly dropped, and it must be dropped. That was a good action, the right action. And Ethiopia, as a nation, made it clear that the conflict is a very internal situation, and we are going to handle it very soon. And we are almost completed 90% of the operation, and within 1 or 2 days we are going to complete it.
Okay, in what way will you carry out a reform in Tigray after this rebel group ousted?
Well, so we have the interim government. We are going to work closely with it, and in the reform agenda we are going to incorporate every power, every individual who is concerned about the region and the entire nation. So that way it will be all inclusive, like our party is. And then we are going to emanate lots of ideas, reformative ideas, and then we will look into the way out from this trouble, and mainly into the future. So that way it will be all inclusive up to the upcoming election. We will work together. Every Tigrayan, every political party who is concerned can participate, and we as Prosperity Party are also actively participating. So that way we will enter into the national election. Then it will be up to the people to decide who should lead the region. So that will be our agenda. So totally it's a very democratic way that we are going to take in the coming months and in the time ahead.
Okay, what benefit would Tigrayan people have got from TPLF so far over the past 27 plus years?
Well, it was...
because the name, the acronym stands Tigrayan People Liberation Front. Did it liberate the people from economic disadvantage and other social fabric, stuff like that?
The people of Tigray were bankrupt during the TPLF rule, let alone to be liberated. We were actually enslaved by their oligarchic rule. They were amassing lots of amount of money from the public, crushing democratic rights. They were doing every atrocity that they can do. So their name is related to liberation, but their actual action was related to enslavement. So therefore, what is really coming to the people of Tigray is a true liberation, because the time is quite supportive. The people is now having lots of opportunities to act, to participate, and we as Prosperity Party are dedicated to democratization. So therefore, the people of Tigray will be free and will freely elect its leaders, and the democratization process will be intensified, and a better time will happen very soon.
What is the merit of having Prosperity Party over TPLF for Tigrayans?
Well, we have a sharp difference. The TPLF is an oligarchic party, and we are all-inclusive party. And we have lots of values.
You mean the Prosperity?
Prosperity Party,
Sure.
yeah. The Prosperity Party is an all-inclusive party, as we have said. It's a pan-Ethiopian and a pan-African party. And surely within a very brief spell of time, we are going to be one of the giant parties in Africa, let alone in Ethiopia. So therefore, we have sharp difference with destructive junta, that is the TPLF. That's why our people is supporting us, and our people is constantly ousting the TPLF. Now they were having their last stronghold, Tigray, and now they are only having the capital city. And soon enough, they are going to lose everything, and they will be brought to justice. So we can enumerate lots of differences between the Prosperity Party and the TPLF, and we are incomparable at all.
Good. Though Ethiopia lost so many military personnel in attack of the Northern Command by TPLF rebel group, some people call it a blessing in disguise. Would you believe that?
Yes, it can be, because the TPLF, by taking this action, by flaring this conflict, the TPLF exacerbated its own days. It had a better chance to stay, but because they entered into such atrocity, the entire nation is now against them. They are seriously blamed, and they are also seriously attacked because they flared a conflict. So therefore, they had a better chance had they not flared this conflict. Now they are simply exacerbating their own days. Maybe it's their fate to perish this quickly, and it's quite a blessing to all of us, especially to the people of Tigray, because the people of Tigray was under a serious repression of the TPLF's rule. So it is quite a blessing.
Okay, where did this armories and arsenals came from? I mean, where did TPLF got these arsenals and big armories, including rocket and missiles? We have seen rocket bombed Asmara and that of Gondar and Bahar Dar. Where did they brought?
I think they got it when they attacked the Northern Command base. So their main aim when they attacked the Northern Command base was to loot, to plunder the weaponry there. And they were in power, the federal government power, and hopefully they have been transporting some of the nation's weaponry and keep them for such a time, because surely they had the time and they had the anticipation that they would enter into such conflicts to retain their dominance. So therefore, maybe they have been looting it when they were in their dominant power, and they plundered it from the northern command base as well. Luckily, they are all destroyed now. They had tanks, artilleries, missiles, lots of weaponry, serious weaponry. And due to the air raid and ground offensive taken by the military, now they are all destroyed. Now they are in their last stage of existence. They have told you within a couple of days everything will be ended.
Almost all Ethiopians know them as if they are autocrats or totalitarian or undemocrat, you see, but they just call themselves as pioneer of democracy in Ethiopia. How do you bring this paradox in one piece?
This is a gag, maybe much of a waggery. I mean, they are quite dictators. Their rule is quite oligarchic and old-fashioned as well. They came too far to this new time. So calling themselves as pioneers of democracy is quite a waggery, and it's just a simple propaganda which no one would take it seriously. So this is their simple propaganda, so we don't have to give it much attention.
Okay, the bank account of giant TPLF companies have been frozen out.
Yeah.
How do you see this measure?
That's a good measurement, because the TPLF has been plundering the nation for quite a long time. And one of their source of power is their money. So that money is people's money, and so therefore we have to freeze it and make a serious investigation into it. So we know it's plundered, but we have to follow the rule and make an official investigation. And after we verify that, we can take the next measurements. So the first measurement of freezing bank accounts of the destructive junta's source of money is quite relevant.
Okay, good. Another question: how do you see? I mean, this the Verbose Act. The Verbose Act. They just televise a false propaganda as if they are winning in all battlegrounds in this operation.
Yeah, the junta has a serious propaganda machinery, because it has no enough power to rule the region, and has no intention to govern that region. Now they just need to appear as if they have the autonomy to rule the people by propaganding and by spreading false information. So they constantly mis and disinform the people. But luckily the people is well aware of the propaganda tactics of the junta. So it's no longer workable.
Okay, good. Is there any foreign state or foreign country which is infiltrated behind TPLF's act?
In their propaganda, they were bragging that they can call for other nations to help the TPLF, but that cannot happen, because everyone knows that the junta is a transgressor, and no one is there to help such kind of groups.
Dear viewers, you have been watching our weekly program, Talk to OBN show. Hope you had a wonderful insight over the current affairs in Ethiopia. We had a wonderful time with that of Nabiyu Sol Mikael, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.